episode 79. I'm your host, Tyler Woltoff, and Kyle Wakeling is here right next to me in my bed.
This bed is lumpy as hell, Tyler. What did you do to it?
I don't know. It's a
You know that
terrible.
commercial where they have like the guy who drops bowling balls on the bed?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not supposed to actually do that.
Oh. Funny thing though, I actually do have a really terrible bed that is very bumpy from the springs. It's really old. I need a new bed.
Poor you.
Yeah.
My bed's actually really nice and comfy. It was like an $800 mattress, and it's just the best.
Rub it in, why don't you?
I barely ever use it, but when I do use it, it's bam, right to sleep. It's so comfy.
Oh man. Yeah, my girlfriend's bed is really nice. It's so much better than this one.
Girls always have the best beds.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, Kyle's not really in my room. That'd be weird. Because I'm...
Be funny, but it would be weird.
Yeah. You could show me how to do this stupid thing in Danganronpa that I'm having trouble with.
Very true, very true.
So, yeah.
But, yeah. Not there,
Nope.
unfortunately.
I might actually look up like a Let's Play of someone playing it and skip to that portion just to see what they do. And maybe that will help. I don't know. It's... yeah. Anyways, I guess that's one of the games I've been playing. We'll just jump into that. We talked about the Vita. Let's talk about what we've been playing on it. And Danganronpa 2. Wait, which one is it? Goodbye Despair? Yeah,
Goodbye Despair, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I'm playing. I decided to jump back into it because of the third game that's coming, and I wanted to make sure I beat this one before I get my hands on that one. So yeah, I'm stuck on a certain spot that's really pissing me off, so I won't really say much other than that it's some type of class trial portion that's not really understanding for me. But yeah, playing a little bit of that. I've also played a ton of Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment. I'm wanting to push through that some more as well before I completely go through Lost Song, which is another game I've been playing a little bit of. Just slowly completing portions of that game and having a lot of fun. So, oh yeah. I also put back in MLB 15 the show. Not really because it's digital, so I guess I just opened the bubble. But I played 2 games of that, and it was pretty fun. I won both games, so I was like, all right. And that was it. And I think that's actually all I played. I'm not sure. Oh, wait, no, there is something I played. I decided to buy that one Fragments Note game, that PlayStation Mobile visual novel. It's interesting. It's weird, but it's not bad. So I'm still... The only thing I really don't like about it, like I understand it's a PlayStation Mobile game, so it probably has a much lower budget than the other visual novel games I've become used to on the Vita. But none of the characters are voiced, so it's all reading, and then occasionally you have sound effects going on, so it's kind of just like, I'm reading a book here. And I'm not really into reading books at all, so I'm just like, meh. But it's got me interested. The story is wanting me to figure out what's happening next, so I kind of want to play more of it. So it's not bad for, I think, like $4. So if you really are interested in visual novel games, then $4 before PSM completely goes down, you might want to go pick it up. So yeah, I think that's all that I played. What about you, Kyle?
All right. Well, my list of games was short too. I did a little bit, I believe, of Akiba's Trip. Just cleaning up some more story stuff that I have to do for trophies. Also played a little bit more Hollow Fragment. Just kind of wandering around the Hollow area still. Just trying to complete everything. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing there. Not too much time spent on either of those two because I'm now reviewing Tetris Ultimate, which I got last week, I think Thursday, I think. Anyway, so yeah, that's ridiculously addictive, and that's pretty much where all my time has gone this week because, yeah, Tetris, I forgot how much I love this fucking game. It's like I mean, old Tetris, classic Tetris was very basic. So like I mean, compared to that, this definitely isn't basic, and there's a fuck ton of options. But as far as keeping the actual feel of Tetris intact, it's definitely there. And no matter kind of what way you want to play, there's a way to customize it so you can kind of get there. So it's kind of good. It's one of those games that appeals to new kind of gamers and old gamers. So it's nice to actually have it here on the Vita. And the version that we did get is actually pretty good because I've been playing the hell out of it and I really haven't come across any issues other than every once in a while when you actually like start the game like from the bubble, it seems to like hang on where it loads your profile. So you like wait, and if it doesn't kind of load it within like 5 seconds, it's hanging, and then close it and reopen. Kind of a little pain in the ass, but something I can live with definitely for now with being able to play this game at all, because as I said, I've sunk many an hour into it. I think the longest mode I've played is like 13 minutes, so I've played a lot of games. I think so far my favorite mode is either Marathon, which is, well, actually it's Endless. Sorry, not Marathon. Marathon only goes to level 15. Endless goes to, well, there is no end. So you go until you fuck up, pretty much. And that's always been my favorite kind of Tetris. But they also have on this one called a mode called Haunted. And it's basically Tetris that you cannot see. So once you drop your piece into place and it locks in, you kind of get like a flash of where everything is, and then everything disappears again. So the whole time while you're dropping these Tetraminos and trying to lock them in, you can't see anything. You have to kind of rely on memory. So it's much harder mode, and I definitely can't get as far with that mode, but I just kind of like trying to, memorize the whole thing and kind of get it down because it's improving my scores in other areas. So
just
it's definitely
screenshot
something
it.
to work on.
When you see
Well,
the thing pop up, screenshot it, and then when you forget, just back up the gallery.
you could, but unlike some of the older versions of Tetris where you could like pause and kind of see through, or when you pause, like you could jump right back in, there's like a counter now. So like if you pause and then go to jump back in the game, it counts down from 3 and it doesn't show you anything. So it would take, forever to play a game that way if you're pausing every time you see. And the other thing is, the farther you get, the less often you see those things. So at the start, when you're on like playing level 1 and you lock in a piece, it flashes every time you lock in a piece. As you get later in the levels, it starts flashing like every second piece you lock in or every third piece you lock in. So it gets less and less that you see it, and it gets way harder. So I actually think I have a high score on that one right now. I think I'm like 29th in the world or something on the game. So if you're looking for a challenge, I challenge you to beat my score. I think it's 9,400 points. So get on it. But yeah, working on my review for that. So that should be up this week. Probably either by the time this podcast hits your ears or shortly after. So there you go, guys. Tetris, it's awesome. It's on Vita. It's a good version. Maybe a little bit expensive compared to what I thought it was going to be, but other than that, great game.
All right, and that's about all you've been playing?
Absolutely. I lost myself to that after I got it.
Well, all right, let's jump into those reviews, speaking of. So what do we got, Kyle?
All right, so only one review this week, other than my Tetris review, which is not done. And that review is Ultratron, which was reviewed by Will. He gave it a 3.6 out of 5, saying, quote, Ultratron is another highly entertaining twin-stick shooter to add to the great number of quality PS Vita games out there. Unfortunately, there isn't too much here to separate it from the rest of the pack. End quote. So it looks like if you're looking for a good twin-stick shooter and you kind of, don't care what one you play, or you're just looking for another one, or maybe you're kind of just looking to get into twin-stick shooters, this one might be a good one for you, but it doesn't really have anything that makes it stand out, it seems. So if you're looking for, uniqueness, that's probably not something you're going to find there. Have you played this one, Tyler?
I have not really into these types of games.
Yeah, I generally avoid them too. I usually only get like one here or there, so not sure if Ultratron will be my pickup, considering I think I have one or two in my backlog, so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, about the same here. Well, all right, definitely go check out that review if you're interested. Let's head on to those new releases. So, what are we getting this week, person, with those new releases? Hey everyone, Tyler here. Gonna bring you your new releases. So let's get right into it. For North America, we are getting Operation Abyss New Tokyo Legacy for $39.99. This is digital and retail. And on Friday, so June 12th, we are getting Lego Jurassic World, and that is also digital and retail. So there you go. Not too much. There's a couple sales, not a lot, but a few. A couple new themes, some DLC for Operation Abyss New Tokyo Legacy, but other than that, that would be it. So let's jump into those European new releases, and you guys are getting Zen Studios Castle Storm Super Bundle, which is included with Castle Storm and the Zen Pinball Iron Steel Pack. Also, I think that would be it, which is not too much. So there's a PSP game called Angus Hates Aliens, and there's a whole bunch of digital discount sales, so definitely check those out. There's also some big discounts for some other games that are pretty good, so I'd definitely go check that out. But kind of a slow week this week, so let's get right back into the podcast. All right, thanks for those new releases. Kyle, you got to get one of them, right?
Not right now.
None of them interesting?
Well, yes and no. Okay, well, for North America, this week we have Operation Abyss, New Tokyo Legacy, and we're supposed to be getting Jurassic Park, Lego Jurassic Park, but it wasn't in the store drop, so I'm not sure if it's actually coming on the 12th when the physical copies drop, or if they're waiting until next week. I'm not sure, but it's supposed to be here on the 12th, so we'll kind of talk about it like it is coming. And as for both of those games, I kind of want them both. My issue is I'm kind of hesitant about the Lego in the Jurassic Park, because the Jurassic Park bit is what kind of drew me. I'm not a big fan of Lego games, so I'm kind of waiting to see how people kind of react to this one and how good it is compared to the console version. So definitely have my eye on it, to say the least. And Operation Abyss I want, but at the same time, I haven't played Demon Gaze yet, and I want to play that first, even though they're not really directly related. They're both experienced dungeon RPGs, and I kind of want to play the first one they made before I play the second one they made, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of time before I grab that one, I think, but Adrian's reviewing it, and he'll tell me how good it is, so shouldn't be any problem with that.
Well, for myself, I've already got Operation Abyss because I was given a review copy of it, but I haven't played too much of it. It's just not my type of game, really. I just can't stand dungeon crawling first-person view. It just bugs me. But yeah, I might try it a little bit more, see if I can get into it. As for Lego Jurassic, I think it's Jurassic World, I don't think it's called Jurassic Park, but...
Oh, my bad. I just kind of threw that up there like last minute. I didn't look at anything.
That's alright. So yeah, that one I am really excited for, and my fingers are crossed that it is really good, because if you've listened to this podcast, I love Lego games, and I've been burned on a couple past Lego games on the Vita. So, with the Jurassic World logo slapped on there, it is just making me really excited, because I love Jurassic Park and all that. So I'm definitely going to be seeing the movie on Friday or Saturday. I don't know what day, but I'm going to see the movie, and I'll be picking up the game bright and early and probably making a video right away. And I'll probably let you know, Kyle, what I think of it, because I'll be very vocal if I hate it.
Tyler tweets out, "Fuck this fucking game." I'm like, "Yep, not getting it."
Oh yeah. Oh, it'll take me I'll figure it out within like the first couple minutes of playing. I'll be whether or not I like it or not. So we'll see.
I'll judge you by your first tweet about it.
Yep. Oh man, my fingers are so crossed for this one. Like if I could cross a crossed finger, oh man, it'd be double crossed.
Yeah, but you don't want to double cross because yeah, that's not good.
All right, triple cross.
There you go. There you go.
Yes. I can't even remember the last Lego game I picked. Actually, was it that Lego movie, the video game one? That might have been in. Yep, that one pissed me off. That was the last one. I was really excited, and I enjoyed the cutscenes in it, but the gameplay was terrible, and I was... Ugh. So yeah, be on the lookout on Twitter for an angry or very happy Tyler on Friday. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the new releases. 2 games, one that's still not even technically out yet. So let's head on to the news for this week. We've got quite a few here, so let's jump right into it. So first up, remember Earth Knight? It's a beautiful hand-painted endless runner where you get to run on the backs of dragons. Last June it was announced that it would be coming to the Vita, but we haven't had an update on it until now. The game's art style is the main attraction, and rightfully so. Everything in the game is going to be hand-painted. Every frame, every character, every dragon scale will be painted by hand and look absolutely gorgeous. These painted dragon segments will then be procedurally arranged in a different order each time you play to ensure that no 2 runs are the same. The goal is to create a game that feels as though it was meticulously crafted by hand, but also offers players a unique experience each time it's played. To accomplish this, there will be generated rules in place so that patterns will develop for the player to recognize. Another interesting tidbit is that this endless runner actually isn't endless. The goal of the game is to reach the titular Earth Knight, which will be the end of the game. Now time for the bad news. It looks like development for the game is going to take a little longer than originally anticipated. Therefore, the release date is expected to be late 2016. That sounds really late. The even worse news is the Vita owners are going to have to wait even longer to get their hands on it. As with recent games like Axiom Verge, Earth Knight will launch first on PlayStation 4, with the Vita version to follow a few months later. We'll keep you updated on the development of the game as more information is released.
Oh yeah, super dead console. We got games releasing into late 2016, 2017. But no big deal. It's dead. Just pack it up, guys. Anywho, moving on with more Vita news. Square Enix and Sony Computer Entertainment have joined forces to promote the upcoming Final Fantasy XIV expansion Heavensward in Japan. Revealed were special editions of all of Sony's supported gaming platforms, including the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and of course the Vita and PlayStation TV. The PlayStation Vita version of this special edition console will cost 20,980 yen. That's approximately 110 pounds or $170 US, and includes a special Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward themed white PlayStation Vita, a Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward theme digital download code, and a Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward original sleeve. The PlayStation TV bundle will cost 16,280 yen. That's 84 pounds or $130 US, and includes a DualShock 3 controller, a Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward themed white PlayStation TV, a Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward themed digital download code, and a Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward original sleeve. These special editions will release simultaneously and will coincide with the release of the Heavensward expansion in Japan on June 23rd. Although these certainly are interesting designs, PlayStation Vita and PlayStation TV owners shouldn't get too excited, as Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward isn't directly compatible with either platform. Boo. Moving on. Famitsu have revealed that Samurai Warriors 4 Empires, the upcoming continuation of Samurai Warriors 4, has been revealed. Okay, that's awkward sentence. Anywho, moving on. As is tradition with the Empire editions, more strategic gameplay will be added to the experience, meaning a good mix of both country conquering and action-packed large-scale battles. All the characters from Samurai Warriors 4 2, itself an expansion of the original Samurai Warriors 4, will be included in Empires as well as its combat system. A new feature for Empires will be the Resident Domestic Administration. This links onto Koei Tecmo's comments that they want there to be a greater focus on preparation for battle rather than just sprinting in Leroy Jenkins style. To assist with planning, there will be an in-game room where you can work on developments of your enemy's positions as well as issue commands. Koei Tecmo have said that Empires will be one of the most strategic games in the series, and battles will involve pushing the position of your front line and gaining control as you head to the enemy's headquarters. As is the case with previous entries in the series, the game will progress as you try to grow your land and amass power through your recruited commanders. Samurai Warriors 4 Empires is set to release September 3rd in Japan and will be sure to keep you apprised of any updates between now and then. And moving on. Were you looking forward to spending your summer vacation with a virtual girlfriend?
I was.
If that... Yeah, we know all your girlfriends are virtual, Tyler.
Yep.
All of them.
Mm-hmm.
All of them.
Yeah.
Anywho, if that answer is yes, like Tyler, then we have bad news. As Girlfriend Beta has been officially delayed in Japan.
Zutalor.
The game, which was initially set to release on August 20th, will now release on November 19th, and the game now also has a subtitle and goes by the name of Girlfriend Beta, A Summer Spent With You. But hey, even with the delay, at least you'll be able to get a girl in time so you don't have to spend those lonely winter nights alone, right? And actually, I don't think that subtitle's new, but anywho, moving on.
Alright, next up. Hatoful Boyfriend hasn't even released on Vita yet, following its announcement late last year. However, we now have word that a sequel will be released later this year. Hatoful Boyfriend Holiday Star is a more Christmas-themed entry to the quirky dating sim series. It is slated for the second half of 2015 and will feature characters old and new, enhanced graphics, and more puns of the avian variety. For more updates on the Hatoful Boyfriend series, make sure you keep your eyes peeled on the Vita Lounge.
And I don't know why, but I kind of want to play that.
Oh, man. Yeah, I do too.
Maybe I just want to show that even as a pigeon, I can get myself some bitches.
Oh, yeah. Gotta lay those eggs.
That's right.
Maybe not, because that's what girls do. I don't know. Bad analogy. Anyways, moving on. Are you ready for another trip into the insane world of Danganronpa? Well, great news. You won't be waiting too much longer to start playing Danganronpa Another Episode Ultra Despair Girls. Ultra Despair Girls is a spin-off to the main series of Danganronpa games and will release in the US on September 1st and in Europe on September 4th. The official Western plot synopsis and overview has been revealed and as follows. Here we go. Kamaru Naegi, little sister to Mokato Naegi, has been imprisoned inside a mysterious apartment for over a year. One day, she is rescued by oh my god, I've just listened to all these names and I can't even say them now. Byakuya Togami, whatever, a future foundation, but the rescue is derailed by a sudden attack of hundreds of Monokumas. Kamaru soon discovers that the city has been taken over by the group of children calling themselves the Warriors of Hope. Their leader, Monica, declares that the city will be the site of a children's paradise, and to accomplish this, all the adults will be exterminated. Kamaru teams up with Toko Fukawa. See? Okay, Kyle. I literally just heard all these names almost, and I'm just struggling on all of them. Anyways.
I can tell I'm over here laughing pretty hard. Thank God for the mute button because you would have to stop. I was laughing so hard.
Yeah, these names. It doesn't help that I have a headache and I'm tired and it's just, ugh. It's just one of those days. And the Japanese names are just terrible for me to try to pronounce. Anyways.
You gotta break them down into their syllables, Tyler.
Tokofukawa.
That's pretty close.
Well, all right. Anyways, that person, uh, that's the person they team up with to try to survive the rampaging Monokumas, escape the crafty Monokuma kids, and uncover the secrets of the city. The features of this game: it's a third-person shooter action. It has third-person shooter action sequences using Future Foundation's hacking gun to have a fighting chance against the hordes of Monokumas as you traverse Tawa City. Tons of different types of ammo, tackle challenges with multiple kinds of truth bullets such as paralysis and link, upgrade your firepower with special bling bullet modifiers, riddles and puzzles. The Monokuma kids will challenge more than just your trigger finger. You'll need your smarts to survive as well. There's a lot to discover in the city with a number of familiar faces and mysteries to unravel. For further information leading to the September release of Danganronpa Another Episode, Ultra Despair Girls, make sure you stay tuned as usual to all things the Vita Lounge. Next up, Famitsu has revealed that Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Fortress is coming to Vita as a free-to-play title. Bandai Namco's newest Gundam game will finally stray away from the Musou style the series has been known for. Taking a cue from classics such as StarCraft and Command & Conquer, Bandai Namco promises fans will get the full real-time strategy experience in free-to-play form when Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Fortress releases. Details have been sparse regarding a release date and how the free-to-play mechanic will work, but you can be sure that any updates on the matter will be forwarded right to you guys.
Alright, now to something I'm excited to announce. XSEED has announced the localization of busty action RPG Senran Kagura Estival Versus, and it's said to be coming later this year.
Whee!
Oh yeah!
Boobies!
XSEED have been on a roll lately, and it seems like their plan for PlayStation Vita was only partly revealed the other day. A few more titles getting the announcement treatment this afternoon. Well, actually not this afternoon. Damn it. The first of these announcements is Senran Kagura Estival Versus, the sequel to last year's stellar Shinobi Versus. Here's the official description via XSEED's press release. A mystical phenomenon transports the buxom beauties of Senran Kagura to a parallel dimension to face off against their rivals in a new kind of battle. In this strange world, which resembles a sunny, sandy island paradise, the girls are thrown for another loop as they encounter departed loved ones and ultimately have to decide if they can bear to part from them a second time. With the biggest roster in the series' history, Senran Kagura Estival Versus features more moves, more story, more attitude, and more destruction online with matches that can support up to 4 players on Vita. All previous Shinobi ran with a host of upgraded moves, return with a host of upgraded moves to master, and new playable characters offer more challenges to conquer, along with story that's equal parts sexy and shocking, serious and scandalous, busty and bouncy. Aw yeah.
Giggity.
Have we tickled your interest? I know I've tickled my own. Senran Kagura Estival Versus is due out in North America sometime in the winter of 2015. As for European release, we promise we'll keep an eye out as Marvelous Games, the European branch of XSEED Games, has said to stay tuned. Moving on. XSEED again. XSEED has announced the Western localization of Nihon Falcom's The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel.
Woo!
Had to pause for that. I knew that was coming. You'd be forgiven if you thought that the Vita Lounge was bought out by XSEED this past week, as their name has been a very prevalent piece of our site for the past few days. First, they brought us localization announcements for Corpse Party Blood Drive and Earth Defense Force 2 Invaders from Planet Space, and now they're back to announce more Vita love with Senran Kagura Estival Versus and our current announcement, Nihon Falcom's The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel. Now, you either know of Trails of Cold Steel and want it, or simply don't know about it. So here's the official description from XSEED's press release the other afternoon. Revealed for the first time in North America, this RPG adventure from Nihon Falcom's acclaimed The Legend of Heroes franchise, known in Japan as Sen no Kaseki, improves on the series' formula and features an expertly told storyline that both longtime Trails veterans and newcomers alike can enjoy equally. Taking place on the same continent as fan favorite Trails in the Sky, Trails of Cold Steel is the first game in the series to tread Erebonian soil and explore the inner political conflicts of the oft-mentioned powerhouse in detail. With a standalone story that also delves into the expansive lore that has become synonymous with the series, players take on the role of military students at the time of great turmoil, enjoying school life and bonding with fellow students to earn new abilities in battle, then using those abilities via speedy, tactical turn-based combat with the newly developed Arcus system. Best of all, this epic storyline can be unraveled either from home or on the go with cross-save functionality between the game's PlayStation Vita and PlayStation 3 editions. So now that you're interested, I'd like to point out that the announcement is a little different than the others coming from XSEEDing this week. While the other 3 games have simply been announced to be coming to North America, this one's coming to PAL territories too, courtesy of NIS America. The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel is coming to all Western PlayStation Vitas this fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And moving on. Koei Tecmo have announced that a remake of their dating sim title, Angelique, will be coming to the PlayStation Vita and PSP later this year as Angelique Retour. The announcement, made during the recent Neo Romance 20th anniversary concert that was held in the Kanagawa Prefecture Kenman Hall, also confirmed an October release date for the title in Japan. Angelique has been remade several times, with the first title appearing in 1994 for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. The focus of the game is on protagonist Angelique, who has been selected as a candidate to become the Queen of the Cosmos after the previous queen's power of balancing elemental forces begins to slip away. As she is not the only candidate, Angelique will have to compete to become the Queen of the Cosmos. This competition pits the potential queens against each other, with each one given a land that they need to populate. The queen that completes the task first will become the Queen of the Cosmos. The competing candidates will be able to call on the help of 9 guardians to use their powers to make the people of the land happy or to cause grief of the people of rival candidate lands. This is where the dating sim part of the game is called upon, as Angelique can befriend the guardians and possibly fall in love with them. Aw, isn't that sweet? There is a tough decision to make here, as if you do fall in love with the guardian, you must give up any hopes of becoming the next queen. Ooh, that's interesting. To make things even tougher for Angelique, a new character has been thrown into the mix for the PlayStation Vita and PSP versions called Brian. Angelique will meet Brian on the continent. Brian is wise, egocentric, and his age is unknown. He likes to talk about himself a lot, making it difficult to approach him. Brian sees Angelique as a bit of a slow-witted girl, and although he does sound like a complete jerk, he has the looks that attract the ladies, kind of like myself. If this game interests you, then be sure to keep an eye on the Vita Lounge, as we will have more info on Angelique Retour as soon as it is made available.
I'm glad I didn't have to read that story, because I would have said Angelique Retour.
Oh, Tyler.
Yep. When you read it, I was like, oh, that's what it is. All right. Well, all right. Next up, oh man, here's some names. Roel Azendem from developer Rage Squid took to the PlayStation blog this week to announce that the studio's debut title, Action Hank, whatever, will be coming to the PlayStation Vita later this year. The game is about an action figure that is trying to relive his heroic past. Action Hank used to be the quickest figure of all back in the 80s and 90s, but now there is not much left to show for his previous accomplishments. This is until Action Hank is challenged by his nemesis Dr. Cantoni, and he sets out to prove that he still has what it takes to be the fastest of them all. The aim of the game is to use physics and momentum to speed through the levels as quick as you can. To master the short levels, you'll need to perfect all the tricks that the physics-based platforming has to offer, including Hank's famous butt slide. Hailing from the Netherlands, Rage Squid has teamed up with Curve Digital to bring Action Hank to the PlayStation platforms. To accompany the announcement, a trailer for the title was released, and it certainly doesn't look like it will be certainly does look like it will be a fun game to play. Set to release later this year. Keep an eye on the Vita Lounge for more on Action Hank as soon as we have it. And that game does actually kind of look pretty interesting. I got
I
my
like
eyes on
the
it.
I like the name of the bad guy, Dr. Ken Tony. Like they couldn't decide on a name, so he's like, yeah, he'll be Ken and Tony.
It's very clever.
Indeed.
All right, next up, a brand new trailer for Axis localization of BlazBlue Chrono Phantasma Extend has been released, bringing with it a solid PlayStation Vita release date for North America. The Arc System Works developed fighter has been revamped from its Chrono Phantasma release with a new guard gauge system, enhancements to the stylish mode system, making even new players look good, new characters, and much more. But now to the good bit. BlazBlue Chrono Phantasma Extend is headed to North American PlayStation Vitas July 28th, just 4 weeks after its home console release. As far as non-parody releases go, that isn't so bad. Though as usual with these games, a European release has gone completely unmentioned. We'll keep an eye out, but this one looks like to be another North America only affair, so stay tuned. Next up, we take a look at the known part of the schedule for Japanese Estival versus DLC releases, giving game owners and potential game buyers a look at their futures. And Kyle's gonna buy every single one of these. Senran Kagura Estival
You're
versus...
damn right I am.
Oh, I already know it.
You're damn right.
You're gonna stock up on everything.
I have every single piece of Senran Kagura Shinobi versus DLC. Every single one. Doesn't matter what it is, I got it.
Well, you're gonna have all of these ones too.
Yes, I will.
Anyways, Senran Kagura Estival Versus was recently announced to be coming to North America this winter. However, those in the Land of the Rising Sun have already got their copies and are looking forward to DLC. While none of this DLC has been confirmed for the West, it's a good bet we'll see it eventually. But for now, here's the planned release schedule for the Japanese version. Available now, Rin and Daidoji. Kicking off the DLC release schedule are Rin and that name, the alumni of Hanzo Academy, and with them comes some other improvements as well. Players of the Japanese version of the game will now have access to a new stage from the downtown area, a new 5-player multiplayer mode called Momination, in which you are to destroy towers, new Puro finishes, a new Super Puro finisher, only available in certain areas, and some new costumes and accessories. Coming in July, I Am from Senran Kagura New Wave G-Burst. Coming in August, I Am from Dead or Alive 5 Last Round. Coming in September, Hakufu Sanzaku, Hausen Ryofu, and Uncho Cons from Iki Tosen. Coming in October, yet to be revealed, aka The Girl in the Red Ribbon. So yeah, Senran Kagura Estival Versus is available now in Japan with a North American release scheduled for winter 2015.
I think the only name that you read right in that whole thing, other than Senran Kagura, is Ikitusen. Anywho, good times. Moving on. Devastated by the recent announcement that FIFA 15.
Yeah,
might
pronounce
as well
words
have been
right.
FIFA 15. FIFA 16 won't be coming to Vita. Looking to invest in a different sports game this year? Well, good news. Rugby World Cup 2015 will make its way to PlayStation Vita later this year. Big Ben Interactive are developing the game, which is set to launch in September, and will see players can take control of their favorite international rugby team as they compete for the Webb Ellis Cup. There isn't much further information on the game at the moment, but be sure to stay tuned to the Vita Lounge, as we'll be sure to update you with more news as and when we get it. And moving on. Tommy Ruffines, co-founder of Team Meat alongside Edmund McMillan, took to the PlayStation blog late this week to bring us all the news that we've been waiting for. Super Meat Boy is coming to PlayStation Vita.
Oh yeah.
Tommy and Edmund spent 18 months creating the platformer, with their trials and tribulations well documented in Indie Game the Movie. Team Meat have said that when Super Meat Boy was first launched, they weren't allowed to bring it to the PlayStation 3 for very complicated reasons, rumored to be an exclusivity deal with Microsoft. However, after years of patiently waiting, we can now look forward to experiencing the challenging platformer on both the Vita and the PS4 if you're so inclined. In his PlayStation blog post, Tommy says that, quote, "We actually never, ever thought this day would come, and it makes us both so happy that it's finally here. We know this has been a long time coming, but better late than never. Expect to be playing Super Meat Boy on your PS4 and Vita later this year." End quote. An announcement trailer for the title gives us a release window of this coming fall, so it won't be too long before we can punish ourselves over and over again with the Twitch platforming required to master this game. If the news of the title coming to PlayStation platforms was not exciting enough, however, Team Meat has also revealed that the game will be free on PlayStation Plus as soon as it launches, as a way of saying thank you for waiting patiently to all those PlayStation fans that reached out to them over the years only to get a "we can't do it, sorry" response. Are you excited to see Super Meat Boy finally make an appearance on the PlayStation Vita? I know some of our staff certainly are.
Me.
I'm actually not too familiar with Super Meat Boy, so...
Well, it's a game that will piss you off, but it's good.
I don't know if I need an excuse to throw my Vita, but I'll look into it.
Yeah. If you look up any videos of people playing it, most videos are like rage videos.
All right, well, I'll be sure to, keep an eye on that and see what's up, and maybe next time we'll talk about that, because I really have no idea.
Watch a video.
Will do. Moving on. Originally scheduled for an April 2015 release, it was recently announced that Mighty No. 9 had suffered a delay and will now release in September on most platforms, as well as being available as a physical game on Vita. Concept however, have released a new trailer for the game, which reveals some interesting new tidbits surrounding the game's release, including the presence of cross-buy via a logo at the bottom left-hand corner at the end of the trailer. It has also been confirmed that the PlayStation 4 retail version will come with a code in the box to activate cross-buy, and purchasing the game digitally on September 15th in North America and September 19th in Europe, you'll be able to grab it on Vita as well.
I didn't know it was coming physical for the
Well,
Vita.
it is, apparently.
Huh. All right. Cool.
Indeed.
Next up, visual novel Alea's Carnival has been announced for release on Vita this year by publisher Hunex. Originally published on PC, Nana Wind has added plenty of new features for the Vita version, including touchscreen support and enhanced graphics and new character routes. A summary of Alea's Carnival's plot can be read below. The Sakuma Ward is well known for its cherry blossoms. In recent years, as part of the redevelopment of the ward, an experimental education system was introduced where the students would govern themselves in the newly constructed Sakumodai Gakuen. Yep, to improve the student life. Those students who are capable and work hard to improve the learning environment will receive various benefits. Also, it seemed that the one with the top results would get a special privilege. Ren returned to Sakumu Ward after a long time away and transferred into the school, reuniting with his timid little sister Karen and childhood friend Sheena, who had grown up to be very beautiful. On his first day at school, he was caught up in some trouble and ended up saving a girl. The girl, Asuha, asked him to join her club, aim for Alea, and change the school. He was puzzled over her sudden invitation, but was excited that his new school life will surely be an exciting one. For more information in Japanese regarding this romance adventure visual novel, head over to the official website here. Well, you'd have to actually go to the site, our site, and click on that here.
Damn
Next
it,
up,
you can't click on words.
you
Why
can't.
didn't I think of that?
You can try, but it's very difficult. Anyways, next up. With the release of Kadokawa Games' The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky FC Evolution imminent, we have a look at some of the new features that you can expect in this enhanced version. Originally a PSP game, Char Ani and Kadokawa Games are releasing The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky FC Evolution in Japan this Thursday, the 11th of June. Alongside a recap of the new features, we also get a look at some screenshots and illustrations from the title. The new PlayStation Vita version will feature more voice acting than the original did, alongside additional illustrations like the 3 you can see below, which you'd have to go to the site to check out. The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky FC Evolution will also see some new additions to the in-game battles you will take part in. New status up effects and status conditions will feature in the game, with some moves having added HP recovery, CP recovery, or burn added to them. Crafts will also have parameter up and down effects that will either benefit your party but can also negatively impact them, as enemies can also have their moves adjusted accordingly. Other new features include field attacks. You can attack enemies on the field for an advantage before you start a fight. However, they can also sneak up and hit you from behind to have a disadvantage on you before battle. New illustrations for S-Crafts and upgraded visual effects mean that animated battle scenes are improved upon. A new and improved user interface, a fast-forwarding option, AT bonuses, new escape chance percentages will feature. Percentages will vary depending on whether you get a preemptive strike before a battle or start with a disadvantage. Message history can now be read. Additionally, you can press the circle button to replay voice messages. A new auto message feature is done by pressing the R button for text to appear automatically. Messages can also be fast forwarded with the X button. Releasing in Japan this week, be sure to keep an eye on the Vita Lounge for more on the Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky FC Evolution news as soon as we hear more. Next up, we've met quite a few members of the Tokyo Xanadu cast since the game initially announced. The game's initial announcement earlier this year, but we have recently been introduced to a new member, and this one's got attitude. Shio Takahata is seen as a delinquent of sorts, never really making his way into causing trouble. He was once part of the team called Blaze, but following a certain incident, he decided to step down. But since then, he's learned for a rival team mimicking his team actions. Shio's weapon is a sword-style soul device, and while the size of his weapon makes him the slowest member of the party, the strength of his technique makes him one of the most powerful. Shio also comes with 4 special moves. Flare Slash allows him to shoot a wave of fire which can hit multiple enemies at once. Blast Edge starts off with a downward slash and then dashes toward the enemies to deliver a devastating blow. This technique can also be used as an invasive maneuver. With Ignis Break, Shio swings his sword in the air, which then allows him to attack enemies in various directions. And finally, his X Strike allows him to deliver multiple slashes to an enemy before jumping into the air and surrounding himself with fire before delivering a final devastating blow. Tokyo Xanadu launches on September 30th in Japan. In the meantime, check out some screenshots on Shio in action and be sure to keep your eyes peeled on the Vita Lounge, as we'll be bringing you more news leading up to the game's launch.
Yeah, so that's my fault. I don't know how I missed that, but I seem to have missed all Tyler's little bits there. So all those 3 had some shit in them, and that's my fault. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Shit happens sometimes, and that's why this isn't live. Anywho, moving on. This last bit is also Tokyo Xanadu related, and it is also the last bit of news, so here we go. The official website for Tokyo Xanadu has revealed details on how you will battle monsters called Greed, which can be found in the game's mysterious Xanadu dungeons. To defeat these enemies, you will need to use attribute weaknesses. The 5 main attributes in the game are Fire, Wind, Steel, Spirit, and Shadow. Each greed will have their own weakness, meaning that you'll need to figure out how to fight them and exploit their weakness in order to fight them efficiently. To find a greed's weakness, you will need to target them. As expected, if you attack a greed with an attack it is weak to, you will see more damage dealt than normal. If you attack with an attribute they're strong against, you will find that the attack is not as effective. Once locked onto a greed, you'll be able to see their weakness, and each of the members in your party has their own attribute type, so you may find that you will be switching characters a lot in order to defeat the greed. Below, mine too. On the site, we have the 5 known characters and their attributes. These are Ku, fire, Sor, wind, Yuki, steel, Asuka, spirit, and Mitsuki, shadow. You will also find that when your party is attacked using shadow damage, all members apart from Mitsuki will take extra damage, as Mitsuki is a shadow type character. For this reason, it would be wise to have Mitsuki as your main character when battling shadow-based enemies. Progressing through the game's story, you will see characters learn drive abilities, which will add extra effects to X drives. These will depend on the character's attribute, and we'll see a flame-type character like Ku learn Flame Burst, which will increase critical hit chances. Shut the fuck up, cat! Sorry. Anywho, if more than one member in your party has the same drive ability, you will see this attack stack, and then its effects will be multiplied. Tokyo Xanadu is set to release, as we stated, on September 30th, and we will keep you apprised of any new details we get between now and then. And that's the news, and that was my cat interrupting.
That's alright. At least the news is done.
Indeed.
The
Couldn't have
Vita,
waited,
right?
like another 20 seconds, but, stupid cat.
Yeah, true. Damn cats.
Indeed.
It was the perfect timing.
As long as it wasn't correct, we're good.
Oh, inside joke.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call Will out on that. Will typed. I can't even remember what he was talking about, but he said something he was trying to say was perfect, and he wrote correct. And yeah, that it's a thing now. So if you ever want to bug Will, there's a good way to do it.
Well, all right, now they know. They're in the loop. They're in the circle. Welcome to the club.
Indeed.
Let's jump into those talking points, Kyle.
All right. Well, starting off, as usual, we have announced release games we're looking forward to from the week. So, what looks good there, Tyler? What's catching your eye?
Oh, man. Hot to Fool Boyfriend. J-Star. Wait, we didn't talk about J-Stars. Meh. I read the thing below and it just popped in my mind. Anyways, Trails of Cold Steel. Oh man, so excited, so excited. Super Meat Boy. I am very surprised that is coming, and the fact that it's coming to the Vita is even better. Yeah. What else is exciting? There's something. Oh yeah, Senran Kagura Estival Versus. I still haven't even finished the first one, and I want the second one.
Damn it, Tyler! Finish it. What are you doing?
I gotta finish Danganronpa first.
Damn it, Tyler.
I know, I'm sorry.
It's not that hard of one to finish, and it's not that hard of one to platinum either. So what are you doing, Tyler?
I know. I'm struggling over here. I'm pretty sure you're with me on this one. I really want Tokyo Xanadu to come west. I
am definitely with you on this one.
Like, oh my gosh, that's like the new that's the new Trails of Cold Steel for me. Like, that one needs to come over here.
I completely agree. I hate using this comparison, but it's a very Persona feeling game just from looking at it. I'm not saying it's going to be Persona or it's a ripoff of Persona, but it seems like it has that same sort of vibe. So right. It's definitely got my attention just for that alone. And then just how awesome it's starting to... Oh, yeah, I want it.
Yes. Bring it over, please.
Indeed.
So yeah, I think that's it from what we talked about. There's probably something else, but yeah. What about you, Kyle?
All right. So again, me too. Tokyo Xanadu looks awesome. I'm down for that. So bring it. Mighty Number 9. I'm kind of on the fence about. I used to really like Mega Man kind of games, but then I kind of got away from them, and I don't miss them that much. But this looks kind of interesting, so I don't know. It's on my radar anyway. I know it's coming later and all this blah blah blah, but whatever. I'm still kind of looking forward to it. Also, of course, Senran S-Level Versus, and even though I'm not a huge fan, Trails of Cold Steel has definitely got my attention.
Good.
What else do we have here? Oh, Action Hank.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
odd. It's kind of weird. It's something I might not necessarily, buy day one, but it's definitely something that interests me. Those kind of games, I don't know why, but they have a little hook that I really enjoy. So I'll probably be getting that eventually. Not, right away, but
Could be a
I'll get it.
PlayStation Plus game. You never know.
If it is, even better because I don't have to pay for it, and I will totally get it whenever it comes out. Um, so yeah, definitely those. And we were talking a bit about Girlfriend Beta delayed. I wish kind of they would bring some more of those kind of games over here. I'm not necessarily looking for a virtual girlfriend. However, I like to, be able to play a little bit of everything, and there really isn't a lot like that on Vita. So be cool to have something like that to mess around with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Let's go to the next. We got a couple here, so let's go to the next talking point.
All right, our next talking point is J-Star's Victory versus preview. So Paul actually got lucky bastard to go and play J-Star's Victory versus Plus, and he played it, I believe, at Bandai Namco. Yeah, Bandai Namco. And he's not a big fighter fan, so you'll have to excuse his lack of, I guess it would be, love. I don't know. It's not necessarily love, but for the game, for that reason. But he does say that he thinks it's, interesting, and that he was playing, the PS4 version. Obviously, the Vita versions usually come later in the development cycle as far as, getting it fully ready. But he enjoyed what he played, so, it's kind of a, a little preview that you might like. Not necessarily super, fighting detailed, but it's definitely worth a read, and I had a read of it and kind of, got my not hopes, but want for the game up a little bit more. So definitely an interesting read. So I'd take a read of that if you have the time. Did you happen to read it, Tyler?
I read parts of it, but yeah, it's definitely making me excited. I kind of didn't want to get too spoiled, but I was like, ooh, 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 as I read through it.
I'm the same way. I generally don't like to know too much before things come out. Like usually news releases and stuff, like they're like, characters and how like battle systems work, but I don't want to actually like know about the actual game itself. So I've been kind of a little bit avoiding it, but I did skim through it in preparation for talking about it a bit. And it does seem like, he's definitely not a fighting fan, and it's kind of obvious by the way he talks about it. But from what's there, Paul seemed to enjoy, what he was playing, and there's definitely the idea that he can see something that somebody would enjoy there. So
Right.
yeah,
Definitely go read it.
Yeah, not a Vita preview, but other than graphics, it'll probably be the exact same shit, just like a lot of these other games.
Right.
Anywho, moving on to our next talking point, we've got the list for May 2015 of PlayStation Store top downloads. So, as usual, we go over the top downloads for the Vita for the last month, and this is kind of a weird one because with May, there wasn't necessarily, a void of no releases there, but it seems like the month had sales heavily dominate the charts with no new games charting. So it's kind of an odd one. Here's the full charts. I'll read them out because like this is kind of crazy, and you can very much tell that this is sales driven as far as what kind of won. So North America, top 10. Number 1 is Freedom Wars. Number 2 is Soul Sacrifice Delta. Number 3 is Mortal Kombat. Number 4 is Little Big Planet. Number 5 is Minecraft. Number 6 is Don't Starve Giant Edition. Number 7 is Terraria. Number 8 is Shovel Knight. Number 9 is The Walking Dead, the complete first season. And number 10 is MotorStorm RC. So just looking at those, like the only one that's even kind of recent is Shovel Knight. It's pretty obvious that it was a heavily sales-influenced month, and I believe both Freedom Wars and Soul Sacrifice Delta were on ridiculous discounts, so it makes sense that they were near the top there. As for Europe, it's a much weirder situation. Of course, they have the top 20, so let's recount and note the PSP titles. Number 1 is Real Boxing. Number 2 is FIFA 15 Legacy Edition. Number 3 is Gran Turismo PSP. Number 4 is Minecraft. Number 5 is Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified for some fucking reason. Number 6 is Capcom Classics Collection Reloaded from PSP. Number 7 is Child of Light. Number 8 is Need for Speed Most Wanted. Number 9 is Duke Nukem 3D Megaton Edition, a game I need to play more of. Number 10 is Shovel Knight. Number 11 is Tekken 6 for PSP. Number 12 is Gravity Rush. Number 13 is Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation. Number 14 is another PSP title with Star Wars Battlefront 2. Number 15 is Sly Cooper Thieves in Time. Number 16 is again a PSP title with Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. Number 17 is Dead or Alive 5 Plus. Number 18 is another PSP title with Shin Megami Tensei Persona. Number 19 is Patapon 3, our last PSP title. And number 20 is MotoGP 14 Compact. So obviously some very odd showings, and them PSP games definitely stand out on the list. But it was also obviously a very sales-influenced month, although just at a glance, I couldn't really figure why the hell Real Boxing made it to first in Europe, because to my knowledge, it wasn't on sale, although I don't follow Europe too much. So not sure what's going on there, but the rest of those were pretty sale driven, so it's pretty obvious where they came from. Any of those kind of seem weird to you other than the obvious PSP titles, Tyler?
Nah, not really. From what you pretty much already nailed everything that was weird about it.
Yeah, not a lot of new stuff. Like, I mean, I think on both of those lists, the newest thing was Shovel Knight. So, I mean, nothing too crazy, but hey, there's some good games on those lists. There's some bad games on those lists, and there was obviously some cheap games on those lists. So you're all forgiven.
Well, all right. That's all the talking points we got. We're going to talk a little bit about E3 in a little bit later because there's a question about it. So we'll just jump into the listener mail. So you want to read the first one, Kyle?
All right. The first listener mail is from Pat M at hip_hop_purist, exactly as it's supposed to be spelled, on Twitter. And they say, I love my Vita, remote play it all day. What is the next big title coming to Vita?
Well, there's a few. We've got Resident Evil Revelations 2. We've got Sword Art Online Lost Song. We've got those recently announced games from XSEED. There's a lot coming, and not to mention all the little games that we don't even really know that are coming, that come every week. There's a lot, but those I guess what you wouldn't consider big, but the other ones I mentioned are I would consider big titles. What about you, Kyle? What do you think's coming, or what is coming?
Well, I think big is definitely one of those things that's, in the eye of the beholder, because a lot of these games seem big to me when other people are like, yeah, that's an indie title or whatever. And I'm like, I don't even give a shit about that. This is a game I'm excited for. It could be indie, AAA. Some dude made it in 5 minutes in his basement. Give me it right the fuck now. But anywho, looking to titles that other people might consider big, I think the closest one to right now is probably either Lego Jurassic World, because I know a lot of people are super excited for that one. or J-Star's Victory versus Plus, because that's kind of, even though it's a Japan game, it's one of those games that I think pretty much anybody who enjoys fighting games could get into. And being that it's coming to PS4 and Vita, it's a little bit bigger than maybe some of the other ones that might have only come to one platform would be. Other than that, other titles that are, I guess, more big are most of the ones that you mentioned. Sword Art Online Lost Song, Resident Evil Revelations, that kind of stuff. So, like, I mean, there's definitely, you know, a range of different stuff coming. And pretty much looking at about every month for the rest of the year, there's at least one or two really good games that I'm looking forward to. Whether you consider them big or not, they look awesome, and I'm excited. So that's just me.
Yeah, everyone has a different opinion on what a big title would be considered.
Absolutely. Like, really, for me, Resident Evil Revelations 2 isn't even a big title. So, like, I mean, it's really all in the eye of the beholder kind of thing. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pat, for your question. Let's head on to the next one. Gary Huss at Huss Not Hoff says, okay, guys, give us one bold Vita announcement for E3. Mine is 2K, with help from GeoGorsi, port the mobile versions of not only Civilization Revolution 2, but XCOM, BioShock, and GTA San Andreas. Take-Two owns both 2K and Rockstar, and with the Civ 2 rumors, why not go all the way? Alright, Kyle, this is where we talk about E3, I guess. So,
Alright, so we can't deny E3's coming. E3 is, I think now, what is it, less than a week away as of yesterday? Yeah.
Isn't it like this weekend? Like, it's Friday, the 12th?
Well, the
That's
big deal, I think, is Monday, isn't it, for us? Anywho,
yeah,
it's less than a week away, okay?
It's soon.
It's very soon, and, well, being that Gary here asked the question for a bold announcement, I think anything Vita would be bold. As usual, I'm pretty sure all we're gonna get is side mentions. So, you know, this game's coming to PlayStation 4 and Vita.
Yep.
That kind of shit. So, as far as bold Vita announcements, I think any Vita announcements that are actually Vita announcements are bold. So if we get anything, I'll be super ecstatic, because Vita is not a conference, you know, grouping kind of thing. Vita games are announced daily, not at things like E3 generally, so I don't really pay too much attention or too much hope. But in the spirit of playing along, a bold Vita announcement for E3 would be The Last Guardian is coming to Vita.
Oh, jeez. You're a funny guy.
There you go. That's your bold Vita announcement, if you want me to be bold.
That is about as bold as it can get. Huh. Well, all right. So, yeah, I think, actually, I would think that Gary's guess is bolder than that.
Well, yes and no. I think it would be quite an accomplishment to get The Last Guardian even onto Vita, the way it looks, or the way it has been presented anyway, so far. So I don't know. But at the same time, Gary's was kind of mentioning some things that, well, one at least that I don't think is ever going to happen. It doesn't matter who jumps in at this point, and that's BioShock. I think at this point, nobody wanted to talk to Ken Levine about it, so he was like, fuck it, and he's not doing that. So
yeah,
that's what happens. I don't think there's going to be really anything to change that unless somebody pulls like $1 trillion out of their ass. So good luck. But yeah, so I think they're both kind of, unrealistic for their own ways. But you know me, I said it already. I don't really expect anything from E3 other than side shit. So like, for me to make a bold statement, anything's a bold statement.
That's true.
Might as well go big or go home.
Yeah. Well, for me, I guess my bold statement would be probably not as bold as you guys, but another whack at a Call of Duty game coming to the Vita. That'd be awesome. And
Yeah, I don't think that that's super bold. I think that could definitely happen, but at the same time, it would be a surprise. You're right.
yeah, well, I'm sticking to it. Another
There
Call
you
of
go.
Duty. Not that I actually think it's gonna happen.
Oh, I don't think it's going to happen either, but I think it's one of those things that are much more likely to happen than any of the other shit we've mentioned, other than Civilization Revolution.
Yeah. And then not super bold, but just it'd be nice to have. Would be them saying that the 64 gig memory card is now available in the West instead of having to import it. But it doesn't seem like an E3 announcement. It'd be something that one day the Twitter account of PlayStation would be like, hey, by the way, 64 gig cards are available at GameStop. Go check it out. So
I actually think that's speaking of it, probably one of the more likely, Vita mentions at E3. Like if they were gonna say anything, it would probably be like right at the end of the thing. Oh yeah, and the 64 gig will be available in North America and Europe now. Like that, I could expect that, but I don't really expect game announcements. Like I think that's more likely than a game announcement.
yeah. I mean, we could also get something that wouldn't really make us all excited, but it would be nice for future Vita owners. Would be like a price drop.
Oh, of course, and actually, that would kind of get me excited because if I found the money, I would just buy another Vita, Tyler.
Ooh, yeah. Well,
And then I could play all the games without fucking around with stupid count changes and it
yeah,
only takes like 2 minutes, but like I mean seriously, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I really don't want to deal with that right
yeah.
now.
It's still a hassle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, not to make anyone all depressed that's listening to this show, but E3 is not the Vita show. It hasn't been for a long time, and
If you look at just like in the last like 3 weeks, how many games have been announced for Vita, you can obviously see that E3 is not a Vita show because they were like, well, we're not going to, talk anything about Vita, so let's announce all these games right before E3.
yeah, let's
Because
get
they
it
would
out
have
of the
never
way.
done that. Like there would have been leaks and stuff, but it would have never been like, here's like fucking 20 announcements. They don't
Right.
do that. Like, I mean, there's one every like couple days and like sometimes they come in pairs and stuff like that, but there's been a lot recently, and I think that's because they know it's not going to be at E3.
Right. Not to say that the Vita's dead, though. I mean, we just had 20 flippant news stories of
Oh,
stuff.
The Vita is not dead. I just went through like I think 18 or 22 games that I added to my list of coming games. Like
Jeez.
and I like update it once a week, right? So like I
Yeah.
mean that's pretty crazy, and not all of those were North America, but I mean most of the stuff that comes out in Japan comes over here when we talk about it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
There's
I
a
don't
lot
know,
coming.
man. Yeah, there's a lot coming. Vita isn't dead. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Typical. We have to handle all these press mishaps because nobody else seems to know what the fuck's going on. So
Oh
if
yeah.
you're wondering, we'll let you know. And right now, yeah, it's not dead. But
All
anywho,
right.
I think we've talked enough about that. Moving on to our next listener mail. This one's from Jonathan Fogarty via email. And he says, I was wondering, is it better to buy new Vita or go to GameStop and get used copies? Which helps the Vita more? If it is new ones, I will start saving up. Thanks for your time. So, what do you think, Tyler? Does it help more to buy new copies of games or used copies of games?
Wait. So is he asking? Because he says buy new Vita. Or okay. So he's actually talking about games, not like a
He
new
says
Vita.
used copies, so I assume he's talking about games. I assume that was just like a word omission there.
All right. So it's definitely better to buy new ones, but I mean, it's your money. You can really do what you want with it, because new games, those are supporting the developers, and if the developers are making or selling more games, then they're like, all right, this is working. Let's keep making games for this platform. But if you're buying used games, obviously that means someone else has already bought it, and now you're just giving money directly to GameStop for that game. So the developer, the publisher, nobody but GameStop is getting a hold of that money. So it's definitely better to buy new for developers and publishers and making them more interested in continuing the support for that platform. Right, Kyle?
All right, here's where I have to jump in.
Uh-oh.
So I agree and I don't, because while it is better for you to support the publishers and developers by buying new games, at the same time, if you're buying new games, you might not necessarily be able to buy as many games, and that could well, not necessarily, but it could, bring your enjoyment down to the Vita. So what I suggest is if you can't, afford to buy all your games brand new, buy the ones you can brand new that aren't, too much difference either way. And when you do buy used versions of games, talk about them. Because, that's the biggest thing about getting the Vita out there right now is we don't have, commercials. We don't have all this shit. We have people talking about the Vita. And if you talk about a game and somebody finds what you're saying interesting, they will look into it and, maybe get that game. So, if you're not necessarily buying games and you want to still support publishers and developers, tell people about the fucking games because then they'll buy them. So, yeah, it's one's direct support, one's kind of indirect support, but they're both kind of supporting the Vita. So do what you have to do to get the games that you need to get and keep yourself busy. But if you're buying used, make sure to tell some people about how good or bad or whatever the game is and the rest of your games, because they will want things to play. And your suggestions might help them out.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. It's always good to talk about it.
Indeed. Anywho, moving on. Jonathan Fogarty actually has a second question, so let's jump into that. He says, I was wondering if any of you use the feature high contrast in the accessibility part of settings. I would like to know the pros and cons of using this feature. Thanks for your time. So Tyler, do you know about this setting at all?
I know about it, but I don't use it. It's one of those new, somewhat new accessibility features that does what it says. The high contrast, and well, it's just not something I really need. I don't really know who would need it, but it's there. So I've switched it on once to see what it did, and was done with it after I saw what it did. Not really much help, I'm sorry.
So since Tyler didn't have too much to say, I'll jump in. High contrast is basically there for if you're having problems discerning the difference between things on screen. So maybe if you're playing a PSP game, or you're playing something that uses a lot of the same sort of colors but like different tones or something like that, and you can't differentiate between them, either because of bad eyesight or just the game wasn't calibrated for the screen if it was a PSP or a PS1 game, or just different things, it'll help you to get a better view of that. So basically it's for people who can't differentiate on their own. So if you can see things on your own and you're not often saying, that blue looks like that blue or something like that to yourself to, try and figure out what the hell's going on with colors and, differentiating things in games, then you probably don't need that. I personally don't need any sort of high contrast setting because I have 20/20 or better vision and no color blindness. So I don't really have any problems. I've turned it on like Tyler did once to see what it did, and Yeah, it makes things high contrast. Yeah, they're a little bit more easy to differentiate. No, it doesn't really make a difference to me, so I turned it back off. And that's it. So if you need it for eyesight reasons or just to make things a little bit easier on your eyes, then that's one thing. But I don't think it's one of those settings that most people will ever have to play with.
Well, all right. Kyle was definitely better at answering that question. So there you go. Thanks, Jonathan, for that email. Let's continue on here. Shay Batty at Bergster30 asks if you could re-experience any Vita gaming moment again for the first time, what would it be?
Well, I hate to be that guy because this is probably what most people say. So I'll give two, but my first one is obviously Persona 4 Golden.
Knew it.
That was my intro into Persona and intro into those kind of, Japanese RPG games. And it was one of the best experiences I've had on my Vita. It's not a game that, I jump into every 5 minutes and go back and play, but the actual experience I had with it the first time was just fucking amazing. And there's really not a whole lot that I could compare to it in all of my gaming history. Like, there's not a lot of games that I could say that game was like an amazing experience. There's usually things that I can pick out in games that I'm like, that was awesome, or, the game was good and it had some good features, but that, Persona 4 Golden was one of those games where I started it, and other than the intro when I was like, okay, how long is this going to take until something starts happening, which you kind of get because it is a long game. As soon as it kind of got my attention enough that I couldn't put it down, I was gone. That was it until it was over. So that's definitely the experience that I would want to experience again for the first time. Completely worth it. And I did get, I believe, the true ending, so that was nice. But aside from that one, because I know that is what a lot of people would say for Vita, I think I'd have to say, probably the first time I ever played Killzone Mercenary. I think that's probably a big one for me. I got to play it kind of before everybody else because of the preview build that I was sent from Sony. So just, kind of getting it first so I didn't have anything ruined for me or people telling me, what I should expect or kind of anything like that, and being able to go into it fresh, and just how polished that preview build was. It was only the one level, I can't remember what it's exactly called, but it's lightning something. I think it's like the third level in the single player game. And I probably played it 1,000 times. Like, it was just, it was one of those things where I just kept finding new things, and it was just such an awesome experience. I would love to go back and experience Killzone Mercenary again for the first time. So I think that, other than Persona 4 Golden, would be my number one. What about you, Tyler? What really grabbed your soul from Vita?
Well, you stole both mine.
Well, I'm sorry. Well, damn it.
That's all right.
I'm such a horrible person.
You are, but that's okay. They're both great games. That would be awesome to experience again for the first time. So yeah, definitely Persona 4. I mean, I didn't play any of those Persona games, and Persona 4 was the first game I played in the series, and man, was it a good one. And then, of course, Killzone Mercenary, having the first-person shooter game that actually felt good on the Vita, was one of the best things in the world to actually play. But since those were already taken by Kyle, there's definitely other games I'd love to experience for the first time again. One of them would be Gravity Rush. That game and the way the story was written and shown to you in a comic book style was really new to me, and it's just it was a weird game, but it was awesome. Like, it was one of those games that where I would watch trailers of it and would just get so excited waiting to be able to actually play the game. And then when I first actually popped it in my Vita and was flying around the city and just like, oh my God, this is awesome. And oh, yes, give that game to me again. Erase my memory, Will Smith.
Neuralize his ass.
Yes. And then probably Freedom Wars, but because I got to play Freedom Wars early when I went to PAX Prime, um, and I got to play with some random people in a 4-player co-op match, and I just had a big smile on my face the whole time. And when I saw the first abductor, like just standing there looking at me, and I was like, "Oh, you're going down. These random people with me are gonna take you down." It was just the best thing in the world. I could not get the smile off my face. I'm smiling right now thinking about it. I would love to relive
I'm
that
smiling listening to you, Tyler. So it's
again.
obviously radiating from your, being that you enjoyed it so much.
Yes, and oh man, I played the crap out of that game. I platinumed that game, and man,
And helped me platinum that game.
yes, I put so many hours in that game. That's a great game. Ah, the Vita, so many great experiences.
Yeah, I think your choices were just as awesome as mine were. Like, I mean, I know mine, one at least, was pretty obvious, but I think the ones that you pulled are very, very good choices as well.
Yeah, you should let us know. What are your experiences you'd love to relive? There's some other ones too. I won't go too into it because we kind of got to get out of here. We've been going on for a long time, but Tearaway is another one that I'd love to play over again.
Oh yeah, especially that ending for the first time. I won't spoil it for anybody who hasn't played it for some reason. You should go get it right now. But it's one of those things where you were kind of expecting it maybe a little bit, but even if you were, the way it's presented to you is just so, you know, like almost touching. It's
Yeah.
almost touching how the way it links itself to you. So it's just one of those experiences that when you like have it the first time, you're like, holy shit, kind of thing. And there's really no like way to kind of get back to that. So yeah, I agree. That's another one for sure.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's move it along. Thank you, Shay, for your question. Very great question there. Yeah, but we gotta move. We're an hour and a half into this thing.
All right, moving on. We move on to check this out, and this week it is me, and I'm doing a little something different this week. So there's not a lot on sale. There's not a lot going on with any games kind of that had stuff happen that I could like come out and say, hey, now you should get back into this game. But what I was thinking about is games that I'm sort of addicted to on Vita. And not to say that like Persona 4 Golden, where I picked it up and I just couldn't put it down until I beat it. I'm talking about games that even after I've beat it, even after I've done almost everything that I could do or beat the main storyline or whatever, or even platinumed it for some of these games, that I have to go back to because they're just such awesome games that I play them still all the time. So here's my list of top 5 games I'm addicted to on Vita with a bonus at the end. Number 1 is Hot Shots Golf World Invitational. I've said it a million times on here. Hot Shots Golf World Invitational is a great game. It is one of the first games that I got on Vita. Hot Shots Golf was the first game that I got on PSP. And it's just one of those games that you start playing it, and even if you've played through everything, you can just jump in and, kind of have a mode or play a game mode, and it's fresh, even though you've played it. So, like, I mean, you're not going to play the same way every time. The winds are different every time. The way the green lies is different every time. You're not going to get the same game out of it twice. So every time you go back to it, it's different. And the online is still lively, so you can still get games of multiplayer. It's crossed with PS3, which is nice. So yeah, just a great game. Second, Ollie Ollie 2, Welcome to Ollywood. The only reason Ollie Ollie isn't on here is because Ollie Ollie 2 came out, so it pretty much expands on Ollie Ollie in every way possible that is good. Ollie Ollie 2 is one of those games that it's one more play. Like, I mean, you play it and you get through a couple runs and, you know, you're beating scores and doing other things. Then you're like, you go back and look at your other scores. You're like, that one's a little low. Maybe I should get that one a little higher. So you go back and play that level. You beat your score and you're like, So it's one of those things that even though, you know, you can get to the end maybe of the game, I actually haven't beat everything. So I haven't gotten to the end. Just because I'm not actually skilled enough, I don't think, yet. But it's one of those things that you can pick up kind of any time, and it just pulls you back in because it's just so cool and you know, laid back, but at the same time making you want to do better and beat scores and do things that aren't so laid back. It's really a really odd combination, but it works so well. Moving on, we have number 3, Killzone Mercenary. We talked about this quite a bit. We play it all the time on Lounge Play. If you've ever watched our Lounge Plays, we play it all the time anyway, just for fun. Killzone Mercenary is the best first-person shooter on Vita right now. It probably will be for a long time, if not forever. And it's one of those games that, like, I can jump into single player and just play for like hours, just going through levels and you know, acting like a badass, doing the whole like slide, shoot people, you know, rocket launcher, this, that, and the other thing, whatever. Just kind of wrecking shit, even on veteran. And I know probably not everyone can do that, but like, I mean, I've played it so much that it's like cake, and at the same time, it's just so fun. So it's one of those games that whether you're playing multiplayer, single player, whatever you're playing, there's something to do. There's something cool to kind of explore. There's different ways to go about going through each of these levels. So there's just so many options that it leaves something kind of unique to be played every time, even though you've, you know, went through it 100 times like I have every level. So yeah, Killzone Mercenary, great game. Number 4, and I'm going on long here, but I wanted to give a little bit of explanation on all these games, is Senran Kagura Shinobi Versus. So we were talking a bit about Estival Versus, but Shinobi Versus is the first one on Vita. It is a game that is basically a beat 'em up, one of those Musu style games like Dynasty Warriors, only it's kind of amped up a bit. So it's more sexualized, more, you know, seems like the combat flow is a little bit better to me than some of those other games, which I don't know, I just couldn't get into because the combat, I was like, okay, either I'm mashing buttons and everything's just flying everywhere, or nothing's happening. So Senran Kagura does an awesome job of giving you a balance between, you know, fighting hordes of enemies, fighting bosses, you know, leveling up your character, exploring different things, a funny kind of story for each character. It's just, it offers a little bit of everything, and it has so much content, especially if you add the DLC, that it's one of those games you just keep going back to, especially if you love boobies. So super recommendation. And the last one on the official list here is Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment. So I don't have Lost Song yet. It's not out in the West yet. Tyler has it, and I'm sure he has his own opinions on where that would belong on this list. However, Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment is one of those games that you can put hundreds of hours in and still feel like it's kind of a fresh game every time you go in. So it's you know, it's a huge game. There's 25 floors to go through for the part that's brought over from Infinity Moment on PSP, and as well as a completely new hollow area to explore, which contains tons of new stuff, lots of different stuff to upgrade, some bosses that are kind of roaming around the areas that are set up differently than the Infinity Moment bosses. There's just so much to do. It's like an MMORPG, only it's not online because it only offers ad hoc, but other than that, Everything about the game is great. I've put like 100 something hours into it, and I still pick it up all the time and play it. And I still probably will after I platinum it, which is going to be a while. So yeah, that's one of those games. If you like RPGs, and you like Sword Art Online, you could pick it up and play wherever. And there is a bonus title, and I won't talk about it too much because we already did, and that's Tetris Ultimate. I'm addicted. It's Tetris. It's Ultimate. It is actually Ultimate. There's so many customization options and different modes. It's fucking awesome. I'm addicted. Play me, bitches.
Well, all right.
All right.
Some good games there.
Yeah. I was going to say, how do you feel about my list there, Tyler?
All of the games I've played and all of the games I enjoy, except for Tetris Ultimate,
So there you go. So you should buy Tetris Ultimate because you enjoy all those other ones that I mentioned
I
so
just
much.
don't know if I feel like playing Tetris.
You watch, Tyler. You'll get the game and we'll start playing and you'll be like, yeah, so I'm addicted to Tetris.
Well, I'm avoiding it for now, so we'll
All
see
right.
about that.
We'll see. Soon enough, I'll have him, brought into my grasp of craziness that I have to throw on Tyler. Like when I forced Bloodborne on his ass and he loved that.
Totally
Anywho.
different games. Anywho.
Yeah, they are totally different games. But yeah. So moving on to the last kind of bit before we get the hell out of here, and that is threads to look at on the forum this week. And we've got two. Other than new game threads, which there is always going up every week with all the new announcements that come out and all the other stuff that's, awesome about Vita that's being told all the time. But these are the ones that kind of I picked up that are kind of something to look at. First of up, we have a thread called "On a Vita port of Journey, Sony does know that a lot of people want a PlayStation Vita port." So basically, that game company who deals with Journey, I believe both on PS3 and PS4, but I'm not 100% sure that they dealt with it. Anywho, that game company mentions on their website that they do know that Sony, Sony does know that a lot of people want a PlayStation Vita port of the game, but they can't comment on it. So it looks like pretty much, they're saying that they know that we want it, and they can't say anything about that. So kind of take that as you will. Sometimes that means that it's being worked on. Sometimes that means that they're not allowed to say anything and it's not being worked on. So kind of could go either way. But with the fact that a lot of these types of games have made their way from PS3 to PS4 and Vita, it's definitely something that we should be watching. And if you are interested in Journey on Vita, maybe comment in that thread and maybe somebody will see it and love it even more.
Well, all right. Do that. Now.
Alrighty. Moving on, our other thread to point out from the week is the Metal Jesus Rocks Why You Should Buy a Vita video. So Metal Jesus is a YouTuber who talks a lot about gaming, and his recent video is Why Buy the Sony Vita, and it actually goes into quite a few reasons why you should buy a Vita, and it's a lot more entertaining, I guess, and engaging than maybe words on a page are. So if you were wondering why you should buy a Vita, or you have friends who are wondering why they should buy a Vita, maybe throw them that video because it's inspired at least a few people. And there's a nice little Vita Lounge shout out there at the end. So yeah. Have you watched the video, Tyler?
I have.
You have.
Yeah, it's a good
What
video.
did you think? Yeah.
Yeah, there's
I agree.
some points of it made me giggle, but I mean, it's someone just jumping into the Vita, so it makes sense. But it's definitely still a really intelligent video and talks about really good points of why the Vita's awesome.
Absolutely. So if you're looking for some place to start other than this podcast, that's a good place to start, because he does about a 12-minute video on why the Vita's awesome and why you should buy it, because you should. If you don't have one.
It'd also be weird if you're watching or listening to this podcast and you don't have one.
Well, actually, I've talked to a couple people who listen to this podcast before they bought their Vita, so
weird.
It happens. I think it might be, one of those things, like, people research it to see if people are actually talking about this Vita thing.
Yeah.
And, thankfully we're out there and doing that, and they have listened to our podcast, and some of them, at least, have ended up getting a Vita. So,
well, all right.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, watch Metal Jesus Rocks' video if you're just looking for, stuff about the Vita, or if you're looking for a Vita, or if you know somebody who's looking for a Vita, or whatever. It's a good Vita video to spend a little time on, because, yeah.
Well, all right. There's the threads for you to check out. Let's get out of here, Kyle. I'm tired. I'm dead. I'm like falling asleep over here.
Indeed, it's been a bit of a long one, and I've done a lot of the talking, so I'm sure you're over there like twiddling your thumbs while I'm doing all this talking, because you don't have Tetris to play while I'm talking, Tyler.
Well, I was playing...
Which was what I was doing while you were talking.
I was playing Danganronpa, and then I fucked up and exited the screen, so now I'm mad, and I'm gonna go to sleep. I was going to play after we were done podcasting, but then after I did that, I was like, nope, going to sleep.
You poor son of a bitch.
Yep. Anyways, let's get out of here. You can find everything that we talked about on thevitalounge.net. You can send us an email, questions, concerns, comments, anything you would like, at mediaservices@thevitalounge.net. We're on Twitter, @thevitalounge. I'm at Mr. PSVita Reviews. Kyle is at Teflon Tactics. We're on Facebook. Just search The Vita Lounge. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/loungeplay. We post up lounge plays. We post up the podcast. We post up previews for the month, game releases, and other things sometimes, like live streams when we get the chance. Also, the Patreon magazine site, go to patreon.com/The Vita Lounge. We're working on a magazine. If you are a Patreon or patron, you should have the second one, right, Kyle?
Yes, the second one is now available to patrons of Patreon, and is available on the actual Patreon site. So there's a link and stuff there, and depending on, what level you've pledged, because I think the one level only gets to view it, and the second level gets to download it, I think. So, exclusive for right now until Monday, I believe. So if you're looking to get in there early and get your impressions out and, read something before anybody else gets theirs, that's available now.
Well, all right. There you go. Go check that out, and also get prepared for the next issue when we start working on that.
Indeed. And just a note, some of the Patreon pledge levels have been changed, so you might want to have a read over those, and maybe if you wanted to change where you are, now would be a good time, as it's close to the start of the month and you don't want to leave it too late.
Yes, do that. That would be patreon.com/The Vita Lounge. So go check it out. Also, we have a forum. Kyle was just mentioning a couple threads to check out, so sign up, join the conversation, introduce yourself, and become a part of that forum there. We are also available on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, YouTube, and the direct download on the site. So go subscribe to us, rate us, let us know how we're doing on those sites. And that is the VitaCast, episode 79. We're out of here. I need sleep.
Senran Kagura F2 versus
Boobies.